friends, I am Vaibhav Srivastava from Vaibhav E-Learning Academy. Today we will be discussing about a new topic in biology, that is the digestive system. Before moving on, we always have the 3 questions which we have to answer before starting any new topic. First question, what is digestive system? Second question, how is digestive system helpful? And third question, why is digestive system helpful? So, first question, what is digestive system? So, digestive system is like a system based upon digestion, as the name suggests. In digestive systems, the main work is to take all the foods that you intake and transport all its nutrients to all the different parts of the body. This is the main work of the digestive system. Digestive system contains a lot of different organs. It contains many organs like esophagus, stomach, liver. We'll be discussing them in the upcoming video. Then after that, we also have many different processes which we go through. We also have many different organs, as we said. So this is what a digestive system is. The system which helps us to transport nutrients to all the body through the food we eat is known as the digestive system. So our first question, what is digestive system? It's done. Second question, how is digestive system helpful? Now, as in our nutrients video, like about the video about nutrients, you may check that video. In that we have learned that we need food for many different purposes. We need food for energy. It provides us energy to do many different works. And by that energy, we need food for doing work, playing, writing, studying, like doing each and every work in our real life, we need energy. Now, this energy we had learned comes from many different nutrients, but those nutrients are in the food, and taking out the nutrients from the food is the work of the digestive system. So, how is digestive system helpful? Digestive system is helpful in many ways. It is helpful in providing energy to our body. It is helpful in excretion of the body, and it is helpful in many other ways. This was how is digestive system helpful. Third one, why is digestive system helpful, or why is the digestive system? Digestive system is helpful as in the second point I said we need energy for each and everything. The body performs many metabolic activities. Metabolic activities are the activities which contain the processes of enzymes. What is enzymes? We have again learned that in the nutrients video. So this enzyme is actually built up by protein. There are different types of proteins also. First one is enzyme. So enzymes help in digestion of food, as I said in the previous video. Bile, gastrovascular juice, hydrochloric acid, and then pancreatic juice, salivary glands, so which produce saliva. So these are many different things which is performed only by digestive system, and it is very complex. There are many complex processes and there are many simple processes. We will be discussing about each and everything through a flowchart in this video. So I hope this video will be helpful for you guys. Let us start about the video. Now, first things first, what is digestion? Digestion is the conversion of the food you eat or we eat into simpler compounds inside our stomach through many different gastric juices, and then absorbing all the materials, minerals, nutrients from the food and transporting it to all the different parts of the body through blood. So this is the main thing of digestive system. Now what we will be learning in this chapter? In this chapter, we will be learning what is digestive system, which we already have known what is it. We will be learning the steps in digestive system or the steps in nutrients. Then we will be learning about each and every step. Why is that step necessary? Then we will be learning about teeth. We will be learning about teeth or tooth, and then also different glands of the body. Like there are many glands which produce many different enzymes. We will be learning about them. And then at the last we will be learning about how the food is being digested inside our body. So now let us see. Now we will be discussing about steps in nutrition or digestion. So there are many different steps in digestion or nutrition as named. We will be discussing about each and every step. So what is the first step? The first one is ingestion or ingestion. The second step is digestion. Digestion. The third step is absorption. The third step is absorption. The fourth step is assimilation. Fourth is assimilation, and the fifth one is adhesion. So there are the 5 steps. There are 5 main steps: ingestion, digestion, absorption, assimilation, and adhesion. We'll be discussing about each and everything now. First things, what is ingestion? Ingestion, as the name suggests, ingestion means taking in of food. So that is taking in of food, which is taking in of food. So ingestion means taking in food or consuming the food through buccal cavity. We'll be discussing about these things. Buccal cavity is the cavity which is present in your mouth. Your mouth cavity is known as the buccal cavity. So taking in of food, that is taking in the food which we eat, that will be in the ingestion process. Second one, we have digestion. Digestion means converting into simple substances. Converted into simple substances. That is the main food. The food which we eat, it goes through the esophagus, that is our food pipe. We'll be discussing about these things, which will go through the food pipe into the stomach. And inside the stomach, the food is in complex form. So that food we have the stomach converts it into simple forms. That is the simple substances. That happens in digestion. The third one is absorption. As the name suggests, absorption. Absorbing the nutrients in the blood. So absorbing the nutrients in the blood. What does this mean? It means after the food has been converted into simple forms, it goes inside the small intestine. Small intestine contains of 3 parts, which is ileum, gingam, and duodenum. These are the 3 parts inside the small intestine. Then this small intestine, inside the small intestine, there are many small finger-like projections called villi. So what happens is the food is being absorbed. I mean the minerals, the nutrients inside the food is taken off by the small intestine and it is being flowed inside the blood. So that when the blood travels to the different parts of the body, the nutrient is supplied to all the parts of the body. Then what is assimilation? Assimilation is absorption or absorbing the nutrients from blood to organs. So now in absorption, the nutrients is being transported inside the blood. In assimilation, the blood transports all over the body and it gives the main nutrients to all the parts of the body, like liver, kidney, pancreas, etc. So each get their own nutrients. Then the last one, adhesion, is throwing out waste substances. So adhesion means throwing out of waste substances is known as adhesion. Adhesion happens mostly in a large intestine. So these are the 5 steps. Ingestion occurs in the buccal cavity, digestion occurs in the stomach, absorption occurs in the small intestine, assimilation occurs through all the veins, that is also we can say it through a small intestine only, and adhesion occurs through the large intestine. These are the main steps in digestion, that is steps in nutrition or steps in digestion. Now we will be learning about each and every parts in the digestive system through a flow chart. So let us see. So now we will be discussing about the different parts of digestive system. We will be understanding that through this chart. Now what is this chart? This is actually a flow chart which describes all the organs, all the glands of the digestive system. So first one we have alimentary canal. Now what is alimentary canal? So alimentary canal is the canal which is the longest canal in the body that connects your mouth, that is the buccal cavity, to the anus, that is large intestine. So that is one of the biggest pipe inside our body. You can say it is like a pipe. So alimentary canal is the biggest pipe inside our body, which like in its way it contains all the different organs of the body. Now alimentary canal contains of two parts, organs and glands. Now I'll be clear here that organs in the sense like if you see buccal cavity, if you can see that is not an organ, but still as like this is only a minority, but all these things are in majority, so we can say that it is known as an organs. And here if you see glands, so liver and pancreas, they are organs, but liver and pancreas come under glands here. So that's why we have separated them into organs and glands. First we will talk about organs. Now in organs we have five organs, that is buccal cavity, esophagus, stomach, small intestine and large intestine. What are the five main organs? Buccal cavity, esophagus, stomach, small and large intestine. Now these organs also have some suborgans. Like we can't say suborgans, we can say that we have some parts of these organs. Not all, but some have. For example, if you take buccal cavity has mouth, tongue and teeth. So here if you take that buccal cavity contains mouth, how? Because mouth is only the buccal cavity, but no. Here mouth in the sense from your lip to the full cavity, that is through your pharynx, that is known as the buccal cavity. Mouth to pharynx. Pharynx is not mentioned here. It is because it is actually a common passage for both digestive system and respiratory system. So we cannot take them as a single system. So that's why I'll tell you that we have one organ called pharynx. So this thing is actually also known as windpipe. This is also known as the food pipe. This is the common passage for wind and food. So that's why we cannot take it as a separate. Like if you take pharynx in digestive system, it can be confusing because it is also there in respiratory system. So these are the main points. And then we have in buccal cavity mouth, tongue and teeth. We'll be discussing about teeth not too elaborately. We'll be discussing the main things. Then we have the esophagus. Now what is esophagus? Here esophagus is known as the food pipe. So esophagus is known as the food pipe, which is actually the pipe which connects your mouth to the stomach inside your body. That is also part of the alimentary canal. So then we have stomach. So inside the stomach there are many glands which produce, like not these glands, there are many glands inside the stomach which produce different types of acids. So some of those acids are, so let me write down over there itself. Some of the acids are like HCl, that is known as hydrochloric acid. We also have pepsin, and these two are the main liquids, or these two are the main digestive liquids or pancreatic juice which are produced by the stomach, not pancreatic juice. The juice is produced by the stomach. Mostly HCl, that is hydrochloric acid, and pepsin. These are the main. It also produces many different juices, but these are the main. Then we have small intestine. So just now we have discussed that small intestine contains three parts: ileum, jejunum and duodenum. We'll be discussing about this thing in some upcoming videos, in other videos, not in this video. Then we have the large intestine. In the large intestine, we have cecum, colon and rectum. Cecum is the starting part of the large intestine, colon is the middle part and rectum is the end part of the large intestine. And after the network there is our anus. So anus is actually not coming inside the organs. So then we have the second part which is known as the glands. So in glands we have three types of gland. First one is salivary gland, which is present inside our mouth. Second one we have liver, which is present just opposite to the stomach, which is opposite L shape. And then we have pancreas. Pancreas is present below the stomach. So in salivary gland there are three types of glands. First one, which is known as parotid gland. Second one is known as submaxillary gland, and the third one is known as sublingual gland. So one of the glands are present near the cheeks, one are the present, that is sublingual. So sublingual is present below our tongue, and submaxillary is present below the jaws, like below the lower jaw. Submaxillary is present, I'll write down here itself. Parotid is present near the cheek. submaxillary present below jaw, lower jaw. Sublingual is present below tongue. These three are the main salivary glands. Then we have liver. Liver produces a juice, or liver also produces some liquid that is known as bile. Bile is one of the most important liquid, digestive liquid or digestive juice inside our body. Then we have the third one, pancreas, which produces pancreatic juice. So this is the whole flow chart of the alimentary canal or the digestive system. So this is what we will be learning in the organs and glands. Now we will be discussing elaborately. First one, esophagus. So in esophagus also there is a process which is known as peristalsis. Now what is peristalsis? So let me write that down. Peristalsis. What is peristalsis? So let me tell you, peristalsis is, for example, if you eat something, for example, this is a food, if I eat it, it goes inside my esophagus. Because like one more thing, there is one more thing to note. Esophagus is not too large, it is not too, its breadth is not too much, its width is not too much, it is less only. But the food which we eat is in a bigger quantity than the esophagus. So that's what we have here, peristalsis. Peristalsis means contracting and expanding of the esophagus. That is, when we eat food, it doesn't go inside it doesn't go in one step. It goes one by one. It goes slowly because the food is big and the esophagus is a little bit thinner. So the contraction and the expansion of the esophagus or food pipe is known as the peristalsis. This is the main process. Then after that the food goes inside the stomach, and we have learned in digestion that inside the stomach the complex food is broken into simple components, like we can say like simple glucose, which we have learned in our respiration plants video. Then we have small intestine. Then the food goes inside the small intestine where it is being absorbed by simple finger-like projections called villi, or it's known as actually villi. Villi. So it can be pronounced villi or villi, so there are many ways to pronounce it. And then we have ileum, jejunum and duodenum. These three also have these three parts also have a lot of major roles inside the digestive system, but we won't be learning about them because that will be so much advanced topic. Then in large intestine we have caecum, colon and rectum. So caecum, colon and rectum, inside these the food is being transported, that is the large intestine. So these are what the main organs. And in glands we have salivary gland. Now why are glands useful? Glands are useful inside our body. Why? Because they produce some liquid. Otherwise, the food which we eat inside, they will be dry. And dry food can sometimes cause infection inside the body. That's why the food should have some moisture. That's why there are glands inside our body which actually produce some juices. Our salivary gland produces saliva, the juice. Then liver produces the bile juice. The bile juice actually helps in actually absorbing of different nutrients like proteins, fats, and pancreatic juice also helps in dissociating many different nutrients like vitamins, minerals. So these are all the main different glands. These are the main different juices, and we have organs. Now we'll be discussing about teeth. So let us see the teeth. So now we will be discussing about the first part, which is the buccal cavity, and inside the buccal cavity we will be discussing about the teeth. So here we have a figure of the teeth, which is actually an incisor. So we will be discussing what is incisor. So first we have teeth. So teeth can be of two types. First type is actually not like a type, it is like a set. There are two sets. One is known as the milk teeth, other is known as the permanent teeth. Before moving on that, we have to learn about a thing called dentition. So what is dentition? Dentition is the arrangement of teeth in the jaw. So now arrangement of teeth in the jaw, that is, there are many different types of dentition. We'll be discussing about that now. Now dentition can be of two types. One is homodont, one is heterodont. Now what is homodont? What is heterodont? So in some mammals like amphibians, in some amphibians or in many amphibians, there is just one type of teeth. There is just one type of teeth which is present in the whole jaw. So we can say that homodont means one type of teeth. But I mean here it won't be teeth, here it will be tooth. One type of tooth. But if you take heterodont means two or more types of teeth. So here we have teeth. So two or more types means if you see in humans, we have incisors, canines, premolars, molars. So here we can say that two or more types of teeth. Two or more types of teeth is known as heterodont. And then we also have many different types, that is diphodont. Now what is diphodont? We have one more term which is known as diphodont. So what is diphodont? Diphodont means we have two set of teeth. So we have two sets of teeth, which is, one is actually milk teeth and the second one is permanent teeth. Milk teeth is called primary teeth, permanent teeth is called secondary teeth. Milk teeth is also called the weak teeth. It is also known as the weak teeth. It is also known as the baby teeth. It is known as the first teeth. So there are many different names of the milk teeth, and these are known as diphodonts. There are even monodonts. We also have tridonts. So these things are in many different other organisms. We are discussing about humans. So in humans, we have diphodont, which is two sets of teeth. One is milk teeth, one is permanent teeth. Then we have the dentition, which is known as arrangements of teeth like fitting inside the jaw. There are two jaws, upper jaw and lower jaw. Homodont means that is one type of teeth. Heterodont means two or more types of teeth. Humans are heterodont and humans are also diphodonts. So they have two sets of teeth. Now we will be discussing about the different types of teeth. So now we have types of teeth. So mostly we have four types. First one we have incisor. Second one we have canine. Third one we have premolar. And the fourth one we have molar. Incisors, canine, premolar and molar. For remembering how many numbers of each are there, we have one formula which is known as 2, 1, 2, 3 by 2, 1, 2, 3. This is the formula for secondary teeth. Now what is this 2, 1, 2, 3? 2, 1, 2, 3 is actually represented by some jaws. Like 2, 1, 2, 3 by 2, 1, 2, 3. Like this whole formula is for one jaw. That is either upper or lower. If you take upper jaw, 2, 1, 2, 3 means the right side of the jaw, and another 2, 1, 2, 3 means the left side of the jaw. It means if you want to find the incisor, so 2 plus 2, which is equal to 4, but we have two jaws, so 4 into 2, which is equal to 8. So incisor we have totally 8 incisors. Then this was about incisor. Then for canines, 2, 1, 2, 3 by 2, 1, 2, 3. 1 by 1. Like what does this 1 mean? It means that the right side of the jaw there is only one canine present. So 1 plus 1 equals to 2. Upper side 2, lower side 2. 2 plus 2 equals to 4. So canine is 4. Premolar. If the right side it is 2, left side it is 2. So in the upper side it is 2 plus 2, 4. We have 2 jaws. 4 into 2 equals to 8. We have 8 premolars, and there are 3 molars at the right side of the upper jaw. So 3 plus 3 equals to 6. 6 2s are 12. So we have 12. 12 plus 8 is equal to 20. 20 plus 8 equals to 28. 28 plus 4 equals to 32. So in total, the secondary teeth or the permanent teeth has 32 number of teeth. But if you want to find the dentition formula for the milk teeth, it is like 2, 1, 0, 2 by 2, 1, 0, 2. Here if you want to calculate how many milk teeth are there, so to be honest there are 20 milk teeth. 2 plus 2 equals to 4, 4 2s are 8, plus 1 plus 1 equal to 2, 2 2s are 4, plus 0, plus 2 2s are 4, and 4 2s are 8. So 8 plus 8, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. There are 20 milk teeth and we have 32 secondary teeth or permanent teeth. So now this was about how many teeth are there and what are the numbering of the teeth, what are the types of teeth. Now we are coming to the structure of teeth, which is this thing. So teeth actually has three parts. One part is known as crown. Crown is the upper part. Second part is known as the neck, which is the middle part. And the third part is known as the root, which is the lower part. So crown, neck and root. Now here you can see the figure. The upper part is the crown. The crown consists of many different parts. Enamel. So enamel is the strongest material in human body. So enamel is the strongest material in the human body, and below that we have dentine. Dentine is the inner layer of enamel. So inside the enamel we have dentine. Then we have the pulp. The pulp is actually kind of a juicy fluid which is inside our teeth. So you can say it's like a fluid. Then, which is actually not a pulp, it's actually known as pulp cavity. Then we have the neck. What is the neck? So the region which joins the crown and the root, the middle portion of that is known as the neck. Joins crown and root. And then we have the gum. So we have gum, cement and jawbone. These all come under the root. Root is actually the part which is below the teeth. And below the teeth we have gum. We all know what is the gum. The protective covering the covering which protects the teeth lower part is known as the gum. Then we have cement. Now what is cement? Here we are not talking about the material used for making buildings. Here cement is a type of material which is used inside the teeth. So which is made for building the inside of the teeth. That is known as cement. Then we have the jawbone. So the jawbone is the bone which holds the teeth. And this thing is an incisor, one part of the incisor. So this was about teeth. Now we will be discussing about the next organ, which is esophagus and stomach. So let us see. So now we have our second organ, which is known as esophagus. So what is esophagus? Esophagus is a long collapsible tube. It is like a long collapsible tube used for transporting food from mouth to stomach. So it is used for transporting food from mouth to stomach. It is usually 25 centimeter. It is usually 25 centimeter in length. So this was all about esophagus. What is an esophagus? It is actually a long collapsible tube which connects your mouth, or it connects your jaw, that is which is known as the submandibular. So we have discussed it, submaxillary or submandibular. It connects it from there to your stomach. It is a long collapsible tube which connects your mouth to the stomach, and it is usually 25 centimeter in length. Now let us discuss the next one. So now we have our next organ, which is known as the stomach. So what is stomach? Stomach is like a muscular bag which is present in the top left of the It is present in the top left of the digestive. And it is like a muscular bag. It can be known as a muscular bag or a muscular sac because it has many different components inside them. It also has a lining also has a lining of some many different materials which produce gastric juices. It produces gastric juice. Stomach actually connects your esophagus to the small intestine. Why? Because the small intestine also has to do a lot of work. So what we can say is stomach does the churning, mixing and the breaking down of the food. So what it does is churning, mixing and breaking down food. So these were the main functions of the stomach. The stomach is actually present at the top left of the system, and it is like a muscular bag or sac. It produces gastric juices. It connects alimentary canal from the esophagus to the small intestine, and it produces gastric juices, and it is helpful in churning, mixing, breaking down food. Now let us go to the next one, which is the small intestine. So now we will be discussing about the next organ, which is known as the small intestine. Small intestine. So what is small intestine? Small intestine is the organ inside the body which actually does the main absorption process. So small intestine only does the main absorption process. So it is actually 6 to 7 meter long and 2.5 centimeter wide, which is the diameter. The small intestine contains of 3 parts. First part is duodenum. The second part is jejunum, and the third part is ileum. So we have duodenum, jejunum and ileum. Duodenum is actually a C-shaped structure. So duodenum consists of a C-shaped structure which is actually the starting point of the small intestine, and jejunum is the continuation of duodenum. So after duodenum we have jejunum, and after jejunum we have ileum. What does ileum do? So ileum is actually a very important organ of the small intestine. So ileum only does the main absorption of the food. So the main assimilation occurs only through ileum. That is absorption of food. And we also say that we also have one more finger-like structure called villi. Finger-like structure called villi. In singular, we can say villus. So we have many finger-like structures called villi, and the main parts of the small intestine are duodenum, jejunum, ileum. So what it does, it churns all the food and then it absorbs all the nutrients from the food and transports it to the blood. This was about small intestine. So this is the figure of the small intestine, and this is the figure of the villi. And now let us again have the recap. Small intestine is 6 to 7 meter long and it is 2.5 centimeter wide in diameter. It contains of 3 parts: duodenum, which is a C-shaped structure in which the bile ducts and the bile juices are being absorbed. In jejunum, it is after duodenum, and ileum is the longest part of the small intestine, and which it does the most major part of the digestive system. And then we have some finger-like structures called villi. This was about small intestine. Now let us go to the last part, that is known as the large intestine. Let us see. So now we are over the last part of the organs of the digestive system, which is the large intestine. So we will discuss the main points of large intestine. So large intestine is after small intestine, which is present at the right lower side of the abdomen cavity. Then large intestine consists of three parts, that is cecum, colon and rectum. Cecum or cecum is what is the function? So it is cecum is the starting point which is the end of the ileum from small intestine. Then colon. In the colon the last absorption happens. That is the last absorption of the nutrients from the food. That is the absorption of water. So mostly the water absorption occurs in the colon. And then rectum. So at the end we have anus, opens during excretion or defecation. So in the anus is covered by anal sphincter. Now what is anal sphincter? Anal sphincter is like a covering. It is like the opening which opens only during the excretion process. So that is called anal sphincter. So this was the main parts of the organs of the digestive system. Now we will be moving on to the last part, that is known as the liver, and this is the figure of the large intestine. That we'll be discussing about liver and then the video will end. So let us see. So now we are moving to the last organs of the body, which is actually liver. So what is liver? We'll be discussing about what is liver, what is function of the liver. So liver is one of the largest, not one of the largest, liver is the largest gland present inside the body. It is very vital and it helps us to do many different body functions. So what are the body functions? We'll be seeing right now. So the main points are, liver is a dark brown colored organ. So it is a dark brown colored organ which is present on the abdomen cavity below diaphragm. Now what is diaphragm? So this image right over here, this is actually diaphragm. So like if you see, if you know hiccups, so hiccups is being controlled by diaphragm. Why? It is because when you breathe in or breathe out, the diaphragm also contracts and expands. When you breathe in, the diaphragm contracts. When you breathe out, the diaphragm expands. So it is actually present below the diaphragm. It is the largest gland of the body, and the main thing of liver is bile is produced. So bile is actually produced from the liver and it is stored in the gallbladder. The bile is stored in gallbladder. What are the functions of liver? So functions of liver are formation of bile. So bile is one of the most important gastric juices inside the body. It actually helps in solubility of fats and other vitamins. It helps in regulation of blood sugar. And how it regulates the blood sugar? It is because the bile pigment, and it also produces some other pigments along with it, which actually helps in the regulation of blood sugar that goes up or down. Then we have storage of iron. Iron is actually a very good storage area for iron. Then we have detoxification. Now what is detoxification? So there are many toxics in our body. There are many amino acids in our body. One of the amino acid is actually ammonia. Ammonia is very harmful. It is like a very harmful toxic in our body, and its composition in the body should be like 25,000 mg. Like if it goes even 1 mg, even if it goes 1 milligram more than 25,000, it can immediately kill the person. So that's why what liver does it? Liver actually turns the ammonia into a less harmful material which is known as urea, and urea is thrown out through the kidney in excretory system. We'll be discussing about that later. So one of the main function is detoxification, and then storing vitamin A and D. So it also stores vitamins A and D and producing hairapin. Now what is hairapin? So here I have written hairapin prevents blood coagulation. Blood coagulation, it means that if you see plasma or platelets, not plasma, platelets. So platelets actually help in blood clotting, right? But the chemical inside the platelet which helps in blood clotting is hairapin, and hairapin is produced from the liver. So these were the main points of the liver. So I hope you have enjoyed this video. If you have enjoyed this video, do like the video and share it to your friends if you find this informative. If you are visiting this channel first time, do subscribe to the channel. We'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you and goodbye.